The importance of respect and discipline. Lessons from the King's Guard. The King's Guard, a symbol of British military tradition and discipline, serves as both a ceremonial fixture and a functional security force for royal residences. Their stoic presence and unwavering adherence to protocol command respect, yet many tourists fail to recognize the gravity of their role. The video highlights numerous instances where visitors disregard basic rules, touching the guards' horses, posing inappropriately, or even dancing mockingly in their vicinity. These actions are not merely breaches of etiquette, but direct challenges to the guards' authority and the solemnity of their duty. The guards' responses, though seemingly harsh, are necessary to maintain order. For example, when a tourist touches a horse's reins, the guard's immediate shout, "Don't touch the horse," isn't an overreaction, but a preventive measure. These horses are trained for precision, and sudden contact could startle them, risking injury to both the animal and bystanders. Similarly, tourists who step into restricted zones, like the white box, are swiftly reprimanded because these boundaries exist for safety and operational efficiency. The guard's firmness underscores a universal principle. Rules in such contexts aren't arbitrary, but rooted in practicality and tradition. For older American viewers, especially those with military backgrounds or a strong sense of decorum, these scenes may resonate deeply. In the U.S., disrespecting service members or sacred sites, e.g. the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, is unthinkable. The King's Guard's no-nonsense approach mirrors this ethos, reminding us that cultural appreciation includes respecting local customs. The video ultimately serves as a cautionary tale. While travel encourages curiosity, it also demands mindfulness. Whether abroad or at home, honoring traditions isn't just polite, it's a sign of maturity and global citizenship. The consequences of disrespect. When tourists cross the line with the King's Guard. The King's Guard stands as one of Britain's most iconic institutions, embodying centuries of military tradition and national pride. However, the growing trend of tourist misbehavior around these ceremonial guards reveals a troubling disconnect between cultural appreciation and disrespectful spectacle. The video compilation demonstrates how seemingly harmless actions, attempting to touch a horse, posing for silly photos, or blocking the guard's path, quickly escalate into serious confrontations. These incidents are not just breaches of protocol, they represent a fundamental failure to understand the gravity of the guard's role as active military personnel protecting royal grounds. What makes these violations particularly egregious is their preventable nature. The guards' horses, while majestic, are working animals trained for precision in ceremonial duties. When tourists invade their space or make sudden movements, they risk startling the horses, which may react defensively by biting or kicking, as shown in multiple instances in the video. The guards' shouted warnings, "Get back," or "Don't touch the reins," are not displays of temper, but necessary precautions to prevent accidents. Similarly, the demarcated white box around guard posts isn't arbitrary. It ensures the guards have space to perform their duties without obstruction. Tourists who treat these boundaries as mere suggestions force the guards to abandon their ceremonial composure and intervene physically, undermining the very dignity visitors claim to admire. The guards' responses follow a clear escalation protocol: verbal commands first, then physical intervention, and finally police involvement for repeated or severe offenses. This graduated approach mirrors security procedures at American sites like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, where any disrespect is met with zero tolerance. The difference lies in public perception. While most Americans instinctively understand the solemnity of their own military traditions, some seem to view the King's Guard as costume performers rather than active service members. This cultural blind spot leads to entitled behavior, such as the tourist who laughed while being reprimanded, or the group that staged a dance-off in front of a guard. For mature travelers, these incidents offer broader lessons about responsible tourism. Just as one wouldn't interrupt a changing of the guard ceremony at Arlington Cemetery, visitors to the UK must recognize that the King's Guard's rituals are not street theater, but living history. The Guard's strict enforcement of rules, whether refusing a cash tip or summoning armed police, sends an unambiguous message. Tradition and safety outweigh tourist amusement. As global travel resumes post-pandemic, This video serves as a timely reminder that cultural literacy includes respecting local customs, even, or especially, when they differ from our own. The next generation of travelers would do well to learn from these confrontations, because while a guard's shout may fade, the embarrassment of being publicly disciplined endures. Food for thought. Should the UK implement fines for guard-related violations, similar to penalties for disrespect at war memorials? How can guidebooks and tour operators better prepare visitors for these cultural expectations? The King's Guard and the crisis of modern tourism, preserving tradition in the age of social media. The recurring clashes between tourists and the King's Guard at Buckingham Palace and other royal residences reveal a profound cultural collision between centuries-old military tradition and the modern era of social media-driven tourism. These incidents, captured in countless viral videos, expose how the pursuit of viral content often trumps basic respect for cultural institutions. The guards, trained to maintain absolute discipline in their ceremonial duties, now face an unprecedented challenge: enforcing decorum against a growing tide of visitors who view them not as protectors of royal heritage, but as props for Instagram photos and TikTok challenges. At the heart of these confrontations lies a fundamental misunderstanding of the Guard's role. These are not actors in historical reenactments, but active soldiers from elite regiments like the Grenadier Guards or Coldstream Guards, for whom ceremonial duties represent just one aspect of their military service. Their famous bearskin hats and scarlet tunics symbolize generations of military tradition dating back to the English Civil War. When tourists attempt to make them break character, whether by telling jokes, attempting to make them laugh, or worse, physically interfering with their duties, they're not just breaking rules, they're disrespecting a living military tradition that has survived world wars and countless conflicts. The physical boundaries established around guard posts take on new significance in this context. The white box marking the Guard's operational zone serves multiple purposes. It provides space for the precise movements required in their drills, creates a safety perimeter around their firearms, and maintains the dignity of their watch. Yet in video after video, we see tourists treating this space as a stage for their antics, lying down in it for photos, attempting to mimic the Guard's marching, or even, in particularly egregious cases, trying to mount the Guard's horse. These aren't harmless pranks, but potentially dangerous breaches of security protocol that force the Guards to abandon their ceremonial composure and respond with military authority. The Guards' horses represent another flashpoint in these cultural clashes. These are not tame ponies, but highly trained military animals that can weigh over 1,500 pounds and stand nearly 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Their training focuses entirely on maintaining calm during ceremonial duties amidst crowds, noise, and flashing cameras. When tourists suddenly grab their reins or attempt to feed them, they risk triggering defensive reactions that could injure both the animal and bystanders. The Guards' shouted warnings, often perceived as overly harsh by spectators, are in fact measured responses to prevent potentially dangerous situations. What makes these incidents particularly troubling is their frequency and the apparent deliberateness of many violations. Unlike accidental breaches that might occur from simple ignorance, numerous videos show tourists consciously pushing boundaries to create content, staging fake proposals in front of guards, attempting to high-five them during their marches, or even, in one notorious case, trying to place a McDonald's hat on a guard's head. This behavior reflects a broader cultural shift where the quest for online validation overrides basic respect for institutions and traditions. The economic dimension of this phenomenon cannot be ignored. As tourism has become one of Britain's most important industries, attracting over 40 million visitors annually, the pressure on historic sites has grown exponentially. The very traditions that draw visitors, like the changing of the guard ceremony, are now threatened by the behaviors of those same visitors. This creates a paradox where the desire to experience living history ends up degrading the very traditions that make the experience valuable. For older generations who remember a time when cultural sites commanded automatic respect, these developments are particularly jarring. Where once a raised eyebrow or quiet word might have sufficed to correct behavior, guards now must resort to shouted commands and physical intervention. The fact that armed police frequently need to become involved speaks volumes about how severely the social contract of tourism has eroded. Potential solutions to this crisis must address multiple levels. Education campaigns could help visitors understand the Guard's military status before they arrive. Physical barriers, while potentially detracting from the aesthetic experience, might become necessary to protect both guards and visitors. Some have suggested implementing on-the-spot fines for violations, similar to systems used at other sensitive historic sites worldwide. Whatever measures are adopted, they must balance preservation of tradition with the realities of 21st century mass tourism. Ultimately, these incidents represent more than just tourist misbehavior. They're a test of whether centuries-old traditions can survive in an age of instant gratification and social media fame. The King's Guard's unwavering commitment to duty, even in the face of constant provocation, serves as a powerful reminder that some institutions transcend the whims of passing trends. For visitors wise enough to listen, their shouted commands carry an important message. Tradition matters, respect is non-negotiable, and no Instagram post is worth compromising either. The King's Guard Dilemma: Balancing Tradition with Modern Tourism Challenges. The ongoing confrontations between the iconic King's Guard and disrespectful tourists present a complex cultural dilemma that transcends simple matters of etiquette. These incidents, frequently captured in viral videos, reveal a fundamental clash between centuries-old military traditions and the behaviors of 21st century tourists. The Guards, who trace their lineage back to 1660 as protectors of the British monarchy, now find themselves serving as unwilling participants in what many visitors treat as living historical reenactments rather than serious ceremonial duties. At the core of these conflicts lies a dangerous misunderstanding of the Guard's role. These are not costumed performers, but active duty soldiers from elite regiments like the Coldstream Guards or Scots Guards, many of whom have served in combat zones. Their famous red tunics and bearskin hats represent battle honors earned through bloodshed across centuries of British military history. When tourists attempt to make them break character, whether through mockery, physical interference, or attempts at humor, they're not just breaking rules but dishonoring a military tradition that has survived world wars and countless conflicts. The physical boundaries around guard posts take on critical importance in this context. The white painted box, marking the Guard's operational zone, serves multiple vital functions. It provides necessary space for their precise drill movements, creates a safety perimeter around their functional weapons, and maintains the dignity of their watch. Yet social media footage routinely shows tourists treating this space as a photo opportunity backdrop, lying in it for selfies, attempting to mimic the Guard's stance, or even, in extreme cases, trying to mount the Guard's horse. These aren't harmless jokes, but serious breaches of military protocol that force the Guards to abandon ceremonial decorum and respond with appropriate force. The horses themselves represent another point of contention. These are not docile parade animals, but highly trained military mounts weighing up to 1,500 pounds. Their specialized training focuses on maintaining absolute calm during ceremonies despite crowds, noise, and camera flashes. When tourists suddenly grab reins or attempt to feed them, they risk triggering defensive reactions that could injure both the animal and bystanders. The Guard's shouted warnings, often perceived as unnecessarily harsh by spectators, are in fact measured responses to prevent potentially dangerous situations. What makes these incidents particularly troubling is their increasing frequency and the apparent deliberateness of many violations. Unlike accidental breaches stemming from ignorance, numerous videos show tourists consciously pushing boundaries to create viral content, staging fake proposals, attempting to make Guards laugh during solemn moments, or even trying to dress them in silly costumes. This behavior reflects a broader cultural shift where the pursuit of social media validation overrides respect for institutions and traditions. The economic implications of this phenomenon are significant. With tourism contributing over £130 billion annually to the UK economy, the pressure on historic sites has never been greater. The very traditions that attract visitors, like the changing of the Guard ceremony, are now threatened by the behaviors of those same visitors. This creates a paradox where the desire to experience living history ends up eroding the authenticity that makes it valuable. For older generations who remember when cultural sites commanded automatic respect, these developments are particularly disheartening. Where once a quiet word might have corrected inappropriate behavior, guards now must resort to shouted commands and physical intervention. The frequent need for police involvement demonstrates how severely the traditional social contract of tourism has deteriorated. Potential solutions require multifaceted approaches. Enhanced visitor education through signage and pre-arrival information could help bridge the cultural understanding gap. Physical barriers, while potentially intrusive, may become necessary to protect both guards and visitors. Some have proposed implementing immediate fines for violations, similar to systems used at other sensitive historic sites worldwide. The royal household might consider designated photo areas at a respectful distance from active guard posts. Ultimately, these incidents represent more than just tourist misbehavior. They're a stress test for whether ancient traditions can survive in our era of instant gratification and social media obsession. The King's Guard's unwavering commitment to duty, despite constant provocation, serves as a powerful reminder that some institutions must remain inviolate. Their steadfastness carries an important lesson. True cultural appreciation requires understanding and respect, not just photo opportunities. As boundaries between entertainment and tradition blur in our digital age, the guards stand as living reminders that some lines should never be crossed. Preserving majesty, the King's Guards battle against modern disrespect. The timeless spectacle of the King's Guard, with their iconic scarlet tunics and bearskin hats, represents one of Britain's most cherished living traditions. Yet these elite soldiers now face an unprecedented challenge, maintaining centuries of military decorum against a rising tide of tourist misconduct fueled by social media culture. The viral videos capturing these confrontations reveal a disturbing paradox. Visitors drawn to witness history in action are simultaneously eroding the very traditions they come to admire. At the core of this issue lies a dangerous erosion of understanding. These are not actors in period costumes, but active servicemen from Britain's most prestigious regiments, many with combat experience in modern conflicts. Their ceremonial duties represent just one aspect of responsibilities that include protecting royal residences and serving as a rapid reaction force. When tourists attempt to provoke reactions, whether through mock drill movements, inappropriate photography, or physical interference, they're not engaging in harmless fun, but compromising serious military operations. The Guard's famous stoicism, often mistaken for theatrical performance, actually serves vital practical purposes. Their complete focus allows them to 1. Maintain constant security awareness despite distractions. 2. Execute precise ceremonial movements in heavy uniforms. 3. Remain prepared to respond to genuine threats at any moment. Modern tourism pressures have transformed these professional soldiers into unwilling participants in what many visitors treat as interactive attractions. The white box marking their patrol area, designed to ensure operational space, now serves as an irresistible magnet for Instagram poses. Their horses, trained to remain steady amid chaos, endure constant harassment from visitors seeking viral content. The economic dimensions of this crisis are significant. While royal ceremonies attract millions of visitors annually, the costs of managing tourist misconduct, from additional security to animal welfare concerns, threaten to undermine the very traditions that drive tourism revenue. The Guard's uncompromising responses, often perceived as harsh by spectators, represent necessary measures to preserve both safety and tradition against increasingly brazen violations. Solutions must balance preservation with practicality. Potential measures could include enhanced digital education campaigns targeting younger travelers, designated photography zones at respectful distances, on-the-spot fines for boundary violations, augmented reality experiences to satisfy interactive demands safely. The Guard's continued discipline amid these challenges offers an object lesson in maintaining tradition in changing times. Their ability to adapt protocols without compromising standards provides a model for other historic institutions facing similar pressures. As living embodiments of British heritage, they demonstrate daily that respecting boundaries isn't about stifling enjoyment. It's about preserving meaning for future generations. Ultimately, The King's Guard's struggle reflects broader questions about how societies honor their past while engaging modern audiences. Their steadfast presence reminds us that some traditions demand more than passive observation. They require active respect and understanding. In an age of fleeting digital trends, these soldiers stand as enduring symbols that true cultural appreciation begins with recognizing what should never become entertainment. Lessons in respect from the King's Guard. The King's Guard teaches us profound lessons about dignity, discipline, and respect that resonate deeply in our daily lives. Their unwavering commitment to duty reminds us that traditions matter, not as relics of the past, but as living values that shape our present. Just as the guards maintain their posts with solemn dedication, we too must honor the boundaries, customs, and people around us, whether in our families, workplaces, or communities. The disrespect shown by some tourists mirrors a broader societal shift where instant gratification and self-interest often override courtesy. Yet the Guard's firm responses demonstrate that some principles are non-negotiable. Their example calls us to uphold respect even when others dismiss it as outdated. True maturity lies in recognizing that decorum isn't about stifling joy, but preserving meaning. Whether in cherished traditions, meaningful relationships, or simple acts of kindness. For those of us who've witnessed how respect strengthens bonds over time, the Guard's steadfastness is a powerful metaphor. In a changing world, their legacy endures because they protect what truly matters. Let their discipline inspire us to stand firm in our values, set boundaries with grace, and pass on the wisdom that respect is the foundation of a life well lived.